Christmas has come early, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about Scream-related. People ask me to talk about the Monday Facebook group. I want to talk about that, in this video as well, because things are going, and it's very exciting. We talked about phases of this journey of Scream, and we're really, I think, like at the end of that, the hype, and well, I guess hype and excitement always is there, but, in terms of like speculation and just really big predictions in terms of trailer stuff, like we're getting to the very end, and we're in now, I would say, the beginning of this next, like, really pushing the film. So what did we have? Well, on Monday, obviously, we had that Facebook group thing, and it was, incredible. I signed up when it was 163. I think I was 164th member. It got to over like 3,000 just in the first few hours. So I don't even know, what it's at now. But that's in terms of like now. Well, actually, let me say this. I did think what other people said. It's just I didn't say it, which is pretty funny. But people were like, why Facebook? Now, it is one of the only places you can do one of these, like, group things. So I get it. They made a joke even, like, we couldn't get MySpace running. So I do think they understand that, like, it's not the most popular. It is, in a way, kind of stupid because there are other ways. But it's, again, in terms of, like, what they're trying to do, I think it makes the most sense. I mean, I think, kind of connecting with some of the YouTubers out there, some of us have built better communities than what you can build on Facebook. I'm not saying, like, there's bad people on Facebook. I'm sure there are. But, you could reach into the YouTube sphere or, something like that. It's definitely possible. So you have that. But then also, I believe HelloSydney.com, they noticed that the Brazilian Facebook page, okay, there was like a post, and it talked about how this was basically a group that was going to be analyzing things, and I believe it said with Randy. Now, it would be incredible. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen, but it would be incredible if they got like Jamie Kennedy to do some sort of kind of like a fireside chat, kind of a sit down and just talk with us. He's perfect for it. Obviously, he is Randy, but just him as a person, I think, is perfect for it. I watch his YouTube channel. I think he's phenomenal. I really like just who he is as a person. He's not one of those guys that shoves things down your throat, which I very much appreciate it. But I think he's just generally a really good guy, and I really think there's nobody better to do that with. And also, it's kind of meta, you know what I mean? Because, who Randy is. So, is that like a leak? Kind of, because I don't really think they were supposed to post that. It doesn't really make sense in context right now because we don't have anything to kind of discuss. Another thing, obviously, is we saw the zip code, which leads to, Stu's house. I want to talk about that, a little bit later because I do think one of the biggest things that they've been doing in the past couple days is really making sure everybody's caught up that Stu's house is in the movie. If we didn't know that already, which actually I do believe, I will take credit for this. I was the first video on YouTube talking about Stu's house based off of that, the behind-the-scenes picture. Everybody already knew it, but I guess just in case you didn't know it, they really want you caught up. And I do think there's a reason, which, I'll talk about later on in this video. So we have that. We also had that it's basically, it's called, right, the Woodsboro Film Club. Now, what I do think is interesting about that, and I did kind of float this theory out there, and people, I think it had pretty good reception. Like, is that something also meta? Is that something in the movie? Is there going to be some sort of, like, self-critique or critiquing of, past, big horror movie? It would make sense. However, when you do stuff like that, and when you follow that, I would say, down the rabbit hole, it does get a little bit like Scream 4. I think you kind of fall into the same stuff you were doing in Scream 4, just a little. So I do think it just is kind of a really good blend of like real life, like it literally is kind of like a fan club or a film club mixed in with like it makes sense in the movie franchise or the universe, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of connects. So, in my opinion, I feel like that's probably what it is. I don't know if we read into it anymore. I think the thing you were supposed to read into in that logo was that zip code. That was probably, like, the biggest thing to read into. So, we had that. Then they took a day off. So, thank God we got Tuesday off. And then Wednesday, today, they're back at it. So, now we got an Airbnb of the house. You can stay in the house. And now, I can talk about that a little bit. Obviously, there's, I think, bigger things that I want to talk about regarding it. But, number one, awesome. Number two, it is more of like they say it's not a contest. In fact, they have that, like, the star that says, like, this is not a contest. But it kind of is because you only can book it for 3 nights or, like, a group for 3 nights. So very few people are going to get to do this, okay? Now, will I try? Maybe, but very unlikely any of us, maybe one of us could probably, sneak in. And if you do, don't forget about me. But, I do think that's awesome. I think it's really cool that they are, like, opening it up so somebody can, actually go there, and you can go with a group of people. However, what are the things we can read into? Well, again, I do think the fundamental, the thing that's, like, stayed with us for all the parts of this is that house. The house is very important. So, we've had rumors and leaks that, like, the house would probably be towards the end of the movie. I talked about it way back when the house was spotted behind them when they were taking the picture. Is it something where, like, Sydney goes and maybe she hears the ghosts in her head, or she sees them? We've talked about flashbacks, how you could maybe get Billy or Stu, and you can actually get, like Skeet Ulrich or Matthew Lillard. Like, if you could do that, it would make a lot of sense, right? Maybe she's kind of like facing the ghosts of her past. Also, you could, I guess, arrange it that, like, it's just ending where it began, which is actually kind of scary for, like, Sydney, because it's like, is this actually putting, like, the needle, like the pin, like, pinning the end of her story there? I hope not, but, obviously, like, there's going to be a big thing with this house, which also, I guess, would connect to maybe some sort of, like, sibling or relative or, child or, whatever to one of these characters. Again, like, hearkening back to, what we've already seen, which is cool. I guess also another thing with that is I fully expect the house to be in the trailer. Whether it's like the last shot, whether it's, I don't know, like Sydney. I can actually imagine. I just saw her face. Like Sydney looking, and she's looking at like the door of the house, or, whatever actually happens. But I would find it very hard to imagine, I guess, the house not being in the trailer. It's like it's the thing they've been focusing on this entire time. So I don't know. I just really think they want you to remember that it is Stu's house, that it does have big importance, and that it's going to have big importance in this movie. And so you need to remember it because we're going to show it to you in the trailer. That's what I personally think. Now, the final thing, and maybe what I titled this video, maybe not, in terms of the trailer, what I do find interesting, when I talked about on Monday, or actually I think yesterday was the video, right? When I talked about things I want and don't want on the trailer, I talked about when I think the trailer could release, and somebody said, like, the trailer will drop October 12th. Now, I don't know if that's just an educated guess, or he said it as a statement, but it's clearly just a thought. I don't actually know. However, there is talk on the street that October 12th is the date. I think it makes sense. I personally don't really get why you would do it on the 12th and not on the 10th, because that's the first day that the movie's in theaters. However, you could just use reversing what I would think and say, okay, well, the movie comes out in theaters, Scream 1, the 10th and 11th, right, because it's a 2-day back-to-back, and then the trailer would come out on the 12th. You could say, though, that you get to see the trailer exclusively in theaters first those 2 days, the 10th and 11th, and then it drops the 12th in the morning online for everybody else to see it. That would probably be the best of both worlds. That's what I could imagine it happening. But what I do find interesting is the Airbnb, okay? When can you start booking the appointments? October 12th. Very weird day to pick. You know what I mean? It's not October 10th. Now, it's a Tuesday. Also, October 12th is a Tuesday. Normally, you'd probably imagine it being like a month. Now, I don't go to Airbnbs. I've never been to one. I don't know if I ever will in my life. I don't know how the website works. I don't know how booking things work. But I do think, in terms of like businesses, Mondays generally would be days for like new things that you would probably want to introduce them. So it's, I mean, maybe I'm just reading into that wrong, but I feel like saying, okay, the first day you can do this is the 12th. Number one, that is important because it's the day after, the 2 days back-to-back of showing it in theaters. And number two, and also, I guess, I mean, you could keep going into that, right? Why would you want to book the house on the 12th? Well, if you see it in the trailer on the 12th, or maybe the 11th or the 10th, right? If you see it in those trailers, obviously you're more willing now, or you're, people that, unlike, like, we already know, so we're in the know. But people that, again, and remember, there are lots of people like this. They don't go online. They don't see this stuff. They don't watch any of these videos. They don't go on Twitter. They don't see Scream Obsessed. None of this stuff, right? There are people like that. But they see the trailer for the first time, and they say, oh, my God. And maybe they're Airbnb people, and then now they're interested. So you have to think about that. And I do think that's what they're kind of banking on as well. So I do think there's a lot of importance to the fact that you can't book this until the 12th, not the 13th, not 2 days after the goes out in movie theaters, but the day after. And again, I think that you could either read that as that's the day that for the first time everybody sees it, or some people can see it the 10th and 11th, and then the 12th, everybody else can see it. I hope for that one because I am going to the 10th for Scream. I'm seeing the first show in my territory, which I believe is at 3 o'clock. Now, I live kind of in the middle of the United States, so I guess people can technically see it earlier than me, and so they would see the trailer earlier than me, but I think I'm relatively early, so I want to be able to see the trailer early and be one of the first people to see it. That's part of the reason why I'm going to see Scream in theaters. I'm not expecting. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. I'm also there to see the movie, but hopefully. So that's I think that's pretty interesting. We also, as I said on Twitter, which you can follow me there if you want, links in the description. I mean, this is just generally, like, it's on. Like I said in the beginning of the video, like, this is game time. You know what I mean? If we thought it was quiet, which it definitely was, it's not quiet anymore. And I just think, obviously, timing, like, there's a reason why they did this, right? So Monday, they skipped a day. Wednesday, now I'm not saying they're going to do this every other day. In fact, I think they probably won't. However, like, next week is the week before. Like, we literally only have a week and a half left until this thing comes out in theaters, the first movie, and you have to imagine next week they would do stuff. Maybe a poster, like I keep saying teaser poster. I think the only one who was saying it early on, and I'm gonna stick with it because I do think that's something that you could just throw us a bone and show us. But no, I guess my point is, it's on. They're talking. They're active on social media. It's exciting, and I think it only goes up. You know what I mean? Because you have to do it. You have to do a poster at some point. You have to. I think they would give like a countdown, not necessarily like go on this website and watch a countdown go down, but say like, okay, here's the trailer date. Now, sometimes with movies, they only give like a day or two warning. Like they say, okay, tomorrow we're going to show the trailer for Scream. Like that could very well happen, but maybe it happens next week. Maybe they say, hey, you'll get an early viewing of the trailer, or maybe that you get to see 20 seconds of the trailer if you go to the theaters, and then the whole trailer drops on X day. I could very easily see them doing that, and I think that probably happens next week. So we're there. We're here. I will be covering it. Make sure you guys come back, subscribe, bell icon, all that stuff. No, seriously, though, because I will be, I'm going to be keeping an eye on it, and I'll cover anything that happens. Okay, so make sure you guys do that. Again, if you want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my second channel or support us on Patreon or YouTube memberships, links for all of them are in the description below. Thank you for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all on the next video.